Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with T, and I'm T. Good morning. Happy Monday. We all know what Monday is. Monday is Man Convo Monday for my series Men Hurt Too, where I give men a safe place to share their truth. And today is going to be nothing more than phenomenal, like it's been for the last 8 weeks. This is our 8th week for Man Convo Monday. You know, guys know I started this in March to honor Black men and give them a voice and to share with our Black sisters and everybody all over the world what it is to be a Black man, what the struggles are of being a Black man, and just really the truth about Black men, because we see so many stereotypes. So I wanted to get some men on here to share so that we could really understand the mind of a man. We see a lot of platforms where men are being picked apart. We see a lot of platforms where men are trying to teach women what we need from a man, from men, where I feel like other men are male bashing, and not necessarily they want a male bash. I just feel like that's the way that the conversation goes. So today we have a very special guest, and I love him. This is a man that I've been on a couple of panels with. I know his wife personally and his family, and they are a joy to be around. And they are healthy and they are whole. And I have my brother here, PK Kiersey. PK has been married for over 27 years to his lovely wife, Kenya. They have twin boys. He was an employee in New York City for over 24 years, where he progressed and advanced to the position of office manager. His desire to help his community led him to founding the nonprofit organization called thatsuitsyou.org. That Suits You accept new and gently worn professional attire provides them to qualified job-trained men enter into the workforce. They also work with high school seniors for prom and graduation. That Suits You also provides training, presentations, and overall assistance with several certified job programs, homeless shelters, libraries, and other agencies that throughout the tri-state area. In addition, he also started PK's Pitch, a social media business that handles all the social media activity for small businesses all over the US to help expand their brand. PK has also authored 2 books, Suited for Success, Volume 1 and 2. These 2 books feature over 25 Black men in each book sharing their stories of struggle, challenge, and ultimately success. Good morning, PK.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me so much. Thank you.
I'm so excited. How are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, considering, what everyone is going under, this quarantine and being in the house, stay at home, and just trying to keep everybody together. But I'm doing well. I'm glad for my health. Everyone here is healthy. I'm glad to be on your show. I appreciate you having me, and I'm looking forward to it.
So like I said, today is Man Convo Monday, where I give men a safe space to share their truth. And the questions that we're going to answer, PK, of course, I want everybody to know, PK, of course, can't answer for every Black man in America. This is just his experience. This is just what he thinks, his expertise, based on the over 50 men in his book that he has spoken to. He has gotten some knowledge and some things that he can explain to us and share with us based on his experience with those men. That's a lot of men to talk to. So our topic today is, do Black men have a negative mindset? How important is it for Black men to build positive relationships with each other? So with all of my guys that I interview, the first thing I ask them is to please give me a little blueprint of how you grew up. Talk a little bit about your mother, your father, and your younger years.
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, back in, the 80s. Brooklyn was a lot different than it is now. Brooklyn was a tough place to grow up. I grew up in the projects in East New York.
Oh.
And yeah, I thank God that I had my mother and my father, my stepfather, with me during those times, because a lot of my friends, they grew up without their fathers. I was one of the few young black guys that actually had a father in the household. I think it was maybe like 3 of us out of maybe 20 guys that we hung out with. So I was fortunate in that aspect to have both my mother and my father. My mother worked for Verizon for about 30 years and she retired. My father worked for New York City Transit for about 25 years and he retired. So they set good examples as far as, that passion for working and their mindset. And I think that generation's mindset was you work hard at a company, you retire, and that is life, that's success, which was a good model to have, something great that they showed us. And I'm so grateful for that example that they provided. But it was tough growing up as a young black young man in Brooklyn at that time. It was very tough. A lot of violence, a lot of just a lot of things that weren't positive. We didn't have really too many positive role models at that time. So that's why I'm so grateful for my father that I was there. He set that great example of what a man should be. And I think that me and my brother, my sister as well, we took those examples into our adulthood. But my mother, she was a strong Black woman. I remember one particular example growing up when I think I was like maybe 16 or 17. I was self-conscious about my looks. You know,
Right.
I wasn't, I was, I'm getting into that stage, and she just like one day she just pulled me to the side. She really bigged me up. She said, "What? You are handsome. You very handsome. You very attractive. You ladies are gonna love you." And I always remember that conversation, and it kind of stayed with me because she really poured that into me. And that's just one example of how she just poured positiveness into me, and she just kept encouraging me. And I'm so grateful for the examples that both of them said different ways. My
Right.
mother was more hands-on and was more talking to us and doing that. My father was more setting the example and letting us see his template that he laid out. So very different examples, but very powerful, and it helped me to grow up to be the person who I am, me and my brother and sister. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, growing up in Brooklyn at that time was very, very tough because, like I said, the violence, then you trying to fit in, and then high schools, it was just very challenging. So without them setting those examples, I don't know where I would be today.
I love that. I love the way you said that your mom stepped in. How and since you talked about your mom, I love this because I'm a mom of 3 boys. So I always try to glean off of you guys or what you're telling me about your dynamic with your mom. How important is it for a man, and this is just from your perspective, because I have my own perspective of how important it is for a man to have a certain boundaries and a certain healthy relationship with their mother. And I always tell women when we're getting into relationships with men to just really try to find out what type of relationship they have with their mom. How important is it for a man to have a healthy relationship with his mom?
I think that's very crucial. I mean, I looked at my father, like I said, he set a lot of examples. He had a very close relationship with his mother. And just about every Sunday after church, we would go over to his mother's house, my grandmother, and we would stay there. And I would just see them have the conversations that they had every Sunday. They would have at least 2-hour conversations of him just asking her questions. And I was like, wow, growing up, you really didn't think about it, but that really stayed with me. So now I have that same type of relationship with my mother. I mean, it's hard with the quarantine going on now, but we still keep in contact. And before this happened, at least twice a week, I would go over there and we talk, we build. And so I think that's very important, that dynamic between a young man and his mother, because you learn so many different things about how to treat a woman or how to have respect, how to honor. And that really stayed with me, my father and his mother. So I think I built that same type of relationship with my mother as well.
I love this. This is good. See, I didn't even know we was gonna go there with the mother thing, but the conversation here is to flow into things that are important for me seeing you grow as a man. So I know why you got to where you are right now. So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into hashtag Coffee with T, and this is Men Hurt Too, my series, and it's Man Convo Monday, and I have my very special guest, PK Kiersey, here with me, and PK has a book that suits you, that is a wonderful book that has over two volumes with over 50 men sharing their story, and I believe that every person, including men, and in my book, I have a book, Men Hurt Too, that this series is built around, that I want people to understand that men are human beings first. That's one of the first lines in my book. Men are human beings first. And I learned that the hard way from my oldest son, because I was like, just man up, just you're a boy, be a man, be quiet. And I learned that when he went through some things that it opened my eyes to say, oh my goodness, he's a human. So you said you lived with your mom and your stepdad, but in your book, you mentioned that your biological father had other kids. So you have a brother.
Yeah, my biological father has a brother. His name is Sherrod. My name is Gerard. So I didn't actually get back in contact with my biological father till I used to work. You said that I used to work for the state. So when I worked for DMV, I actually looked up my biological father and contacted him. I think I had to been about maybe 22 at the time. So I looked him up and we connected. And I was very glad. I was hesitant at first because I didn't know how that relationship was going to be, but I was very glad that I did, because since we've connected at that time, we formed a bond, and we just we contact each other at least once a week. We spend time with each other. Unfortunately, my stepfather, he passed away in 2018.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a very big blow, a very big loss for me. But I thank God that my biological father, he's still alive. He's actually living in Atlanta now. So, but yeah, I did look him up when I worked with DMV, so we was able to contact each other and build that relationship back then.
And I only spoke about that because you mentioned it in a book. And I always, when I read other people's books and I look a little bit about how they grew up, when we mention things, it's because they're important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so thrilled that your stepfather stepped in, because you're like, my dad. So I want people to understand that a stepfather is a father. They step up and they become real. It's not step in it anymore. We only use step just to let people know that we do have a biological father, but I had a great stepfather too. He was wonderful to me. God rest his soul. He taught me a lot of stuff too, and I never wanted to stay step because he really just was my father. So
right. I even feel funny when I call him stepdad, but like you said, it's just to let people know that it's a difference. But I always call him dad, pop, and only time I actually say that is if I'm talking to somebody, to let them know, the difference.
Right. See, that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And just the things that he instilled in you, because a lot of men, for me, this is just my opinion, have issues in life because they just didn't have the proper blueprint from a woman and a man. So the dynamic of both of your parents being in the home with you gave you insight that a lot of brothers just don't get. And we don't understand that because we don't hear the backstory. We just see somebody who's reckless, and not just in relationships, who's reckless in their life because they just didn't have a blueprint of what it looks like to be a man. Like you said, it's important for me to have a relationship with my mom because I saw my dad have a healthy relationship with his mom. And it wasn't overbearing, I'm a mama's boy, I'm hanging off of her. And it wasn't, I'm not gonna do anything for my mother. There was balance. So I love to hear that in relationships. You said when it was tough being in Brooklyn because you wasn't a tough kid. And I'm taking stuff from your book. You said you wasn't a tough kid. You had to have a lot of male friends around you to feel safe in the streets. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a thug kid growing up. I wasn't, robbing people, things like that. But the guys who are around, a lot of them, they had that reputation. And you didn't want to be alone in those Brooklyn streets, so you had to be around some people. And I had a core about 4 guys who were really cool, safe, going to school. And then there was another group that really was about that life and violence. And they were good people at times, but when they had that side. And when I think about it, unfortunately, a lot of them didn't have that family structure where they had their father that can say, listen, that's not what you want to do. Or the mother, maybe she was upset because the father did something and took it out on the kids. And we saw these things. But so yeah, I wasn't a tough kid. But I was around tough guys in the streets. And it was tough, man. Because sometimes things would go down and you could be caught in the middle. There was one night in Manhattan, it's a quick story. Mm-hmm. One night in Times Square, where I didn't go with them that night. For some reason, I stayed home, and it was about 20 of them. They were driving around in a van, jumping out, beating up people, robbing people. And unfortunately, they got caught by the police that night, and they wound up, several of them wound up going to jail, and some of them wound up getting some severe sentences. And that just made me think, wow, I normally would have been with them on this occasion, but for some reason, I didn't go with them that night. And in that instant really changed the life of a lot of my friends. I mean, some of them never spoke to each other after that. Some of them got into fights with each other because of that. So it was a really big thing that happened. And but that's any day that could have happened growing up in Brooklyn. Like you never knew what could have happened. One day, another quick story, we went to Jones Beach for I think it was one of those Jones Beach parties or something. And I'm just going there. Like I said, my mother told me I was handsome now. So now I'm trying to get every girl. I'm
You
at the
feeling
Jones.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm feeling myself. So that's why I'm there. I'm there for the ladies, but the guys who we with, they were there for other reasons, and a couple of them got into a beef, and we left. I didn't have a car, so I was riding with them. One of the guys went. He got a gun. We drove up in front of somebody's house. He pulled out his gun, started shooting in front of the house, ran back to the car I was in, had his gun pointed like right in my face. I could have been shot. I could have been killed that night. Like any given moment, something tragic could have happened. I'm just thankful, grateful that I'm here today to share these stories. And but that's how it was growing up in Brooklyn. I mean, it was crazy at that time.
Wow. See, I would never see it, knowing you and seeing you. I would never think this about you. Like, I would never, no, seriously, you know what I'm saying? And this is why I want people to know that everybody has a story. Everybody comes from somewhere, and you can't judge a book by its cover. Because I would think, because I always see you in the suit, because that suits you. I see you helping a young man out, giving them suits for college, to go to college interviews and proms, and men who are coming back into society, giving them suits. So I would never think, PK been in the streets. Nah. I'll read an excerpt from your book.
Yeah.
Among boys in that era, you could not show any weakness. You did not help each other. You did not celebrate each other, nor did you hide each other's shortcomings. In fact, we made fun of each other's shortcomings. We ridiculed any sign of weakness. It was unrelenting. At no moment could you lapse from being on your game, because it would be exposed immediately and aggressively. It was during those years and from my friends that I received my training on being a man. So do you think that there is unhealthy competition amongst Black men?
That's a deep question. Growing up in that environment, it was like I said, you couldn't have any type of weakness you had. If you didn't have a father, we were going to get on you because you didn't have your father. If your father was drinking, we were going to get on you because he was drinking. You were bumped. If you didn't have clothes, new clothes, it just was unrelenting. So the pressure was tremendous to be on top of your game at all times. So now, growing from that environment to now an adult, I find that a lot of guys who come out of that, they have that same thinking where, I can't show any type of weakness. I can't show any type of letdown. I always have to have my A game. And that's not healthy, and that's not honest, because sometimes we're going to have to share. We're going to have to open up. Just this week, I had a hour-long call with my brother. I mean, we talk all the time, but we actually had a deep conversation this week about our health, our lives, our marriages, our children, where we opened up about things that we normally wouldn't open up again about. So if that's just my brother, imagine another. That's my real brother, my natural brother. Right. So imagine somebody in the street, how you're not going to share that. And one of my best friends, who was in who I've known since he was one of the guys I was talking about, I grew up with. We had a conversation this week, deep conversation, where we shared things that we normally wouldn't share. But and I've known him for years. So if we're just now breaking these barriers, imagine people who you just meet. You're not going to share those things with them. They're going to think that, oh, he's on point. He's got everything together. Nothing's wrong. Meanwhile, inside, he's dealing with all these things that he has to deal with. A lot of times, you talk about competition. We may want to help each other, but I feel that if I ask you for help, then I may think you think you're better than me. Or in my mind, I think, oh, he's better than me. So how can I ask him for help and without him feeling a certain way, or without me feeling a certain way? So, it can be toxic at times. Now, there are times when we do that. We do work together. I've seen it numerous times, but a lot of times that is in the background or in the mind of the individual. Like, I want to ask him, but he may look at me a different way.
Right. So you went straight into the question that I was gonna ask, because I'm just really here to learn. Has pointing out each other's weaknesses been taught to men at an early age?
Yeah, definitely. I believe it definitely has. I mean, that's how I grew up. Like I said, we always did that, and we did it so normally. It wasn't. If we didn't do it, it was strange. If we actually complimented somebody, it was weird. We was like, "What's wrong with you?"
Right.
So yo, you did that good. I like the way you did that. That was on point. You like, is there a joke behind it, or what are you getting at? So we did that so regularly, and it was so normal to us that if we did it the opposite, like actually compliment, it's hard to compliment somebody. It's hard to. So as I started growing up, I started purposely doing that. Number one, to work out things in me because I knew how I grew up, and number two, to actually give someone their just due. I say, that's a nice suit you wearing. You know, that became one of my slogans. Hey, nice suit. Because so often, like, we'll see somebody that is dressed nice and look nice, and we'll think, you know, so what, or big deal. But I actually will go up to people and say, hey, nice suit, or that's a nice tie, or I like the way you wearing that, and not have any other ulterior motive, just to say that. And as I started doing it, I felt more comfortable myself doing it. But also, I saw that it kind of broke down a barrier that the individual may have had.
And you talk about I'm from Jersey, right? And I'm from Jersey in the hood. So I'm a hood girl. I grew up in Essex County, New Jersey, where it's all hood, Irvington, East Orange, Newark. And somebody say hi to you, you like, I know, it's not like the South. You know, the South, everybody's saying hi. So for you to give another dude a compliment, how was the response when you were like, oh, nice suit, or how you doing, bro? How was the response? I know that we do a lot of networking now, me and you, and it's a different kind of crowd that we're with sometimes that expect this, because we've been taught, oh, networking, this is how you network. But what about a crowd of people that don't know this language of networking? How is that received when you go say, oh, that's a nice tie or some nice shoes, bro? They're like, how received?
It's a few different reactions. Some people, they don't say nothing, they just keep moving. Some people go, you know, they'll look at you to see what else you coming with. Like, okay, is he selling me something? Is he trying to get something from me? But then you'll get a small percentage of people that's like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I like yours too. So, you know, something like that. So it varies from different responses. But like I had to force myself to do it initially because, like I said, I grew up in such a negative environment that I had to force myself to do more positive things for my well-being. But also, it also sparks up a conversation where, you know, maybe you could do some business or maybe you could do some other things. But I had to personally do that for myself. There's so many. Sometimes there's guys that I've actually reached out to, even with the book, and I say, you know, here's the opportunity that, you know, Black men sharing their stories, Black and brown men sharing their stories, and, you know, I've told them the whole pitch and everything. And I mean, it's not for everybody to understand that, but some people were very dismissive. Some people thought, you know, it was some type of angle, or some people thought, you know, who knows what they thought. But it wasn't what I kind of expected. But then there are a lot of guys who actually jumped on it and said, definitely, that's something I want to be a part of. I see the work that you're doing. I see what you've been up to. I've seen your character. I definitely want to be a part of it. So like I said, I know it's not for everybody, but I try to make myself collaborate and build with other people because I know that we can do more together than we can do separate.
Wow. And I know you said it was some people that just was like, oh no, I don't, a book, please. Do you think that men have insecurities? Because I talk to a lot of Black men who now doing this series, I've learned that a lot of Black men have insecurities that they're not even aware of. And they had like we had aha moments on here. Like, I didn't even know I was going to share that. But do you think like Black men really, they have insecurities when you come to them and say, maybe share it. I want you to do a chapter in my book for me. And they're thinking like, I'm not a writer. I'm not good enough. Do you think that those insecurities are creeping in other areas of their lives?
Oh, definitely. With as far as the book is concerned, about, I'll say 75% of the men who actually are in both books had that thought. When I first did it, I had that thought as well. Like, you know, who wants to hear something that I have to say, or who wants to, how can this benefit? A lot of the men had to say, and I used that to share with them. I said, listen, I had that same thought. I thought that. And when the men who I actually selected from the outside, looking at them, I say, wow, your story is incredible. What you're doing is something that needs to be heard. But from them hearing it, they're like, really? I mean, all I'm doing is this, and this, but they don't realize how powerful just what they're doing is. Wow. How powerful it is to be. We got people in the military. We have people pastors, you have people that are running CEOs, you have people that are running businesses, you have people that are salesmen. Whatever you're doing, there's some story or some path that you had to go through to reach that. And it's about, for every story that's in here, for every 25, 50 stories that's in here, times that by 100 of the people that can be blessed or can be motivated by reading that story. So that's the main thing that the book is about, really trying to encourage the next generation or people that are maybe thinking about doing something. If these guys can make it, and as I read their stories, you know, brought tears to my eyes, some of it, they opened up, like you said, they shared it. They were very vulnerable, very transparent, because I know how powerful that is and how powerful it can, you know, reach other people.
Yes, and that's one of my things that I tell my clients and people who I work with, because people will ask me why I tell my story, and if you don't know my story, go back and find it. But I always tell people truth plus transparency equals healing. So I had to share my story of the worst thing in my life that happened to me in order for me to be free. So just some of the stories that I read too, I was like, wow. And just listening to you guys, I'm like, wow, like there's something that happened to them that brought them to this point and they overcame it. And some of us are still overcoming. And for the men who are listening right now, even if you're still overcoming it, it's okay. We need to hear your story in order for us to love on you properly, to give you the love that you deserve the right way. Because a lot of times as Black women, and I'm not just talking about intimate love, I'm talking about our brothers, our uncles, our cousins, our nephews, our male friends. Sometimes we don't know how to love you properly because we don't know the trauma. And everybody thinks trauma is he been molested or this happened. This trauma of not having your father in your life, even though it wasn't a negative and you got a great stepfather, there's still some level of trauma of, wait a minute, there was a break here and I need to figure that out. So that's why we're here. You put in your book, Black Men Rock, and you talked about, and we know that the Black Girls Rock movement and all of these resources that women have, and women get coaches and women get therapists, and let's give women a retreat and all of that other stuff. Do you think that there's a lack of resources for Black men?
I don't know if lack of resources or a lack of focus to do those same type of things that women are doing. Women, y'all celebrate when y'all come together. You know, like, wow, let's get together. Let's do this. A lot of times men like to work in solitude. And that goes for me too. Sometimes I'd rather be in solitude, but that's not really how great things happen. There's a friend of mine, Jeff Lindor. He has a location called the Gentleman's Factory, where it's a space where businessmen come together in groups, and mostly Black and brown men come together in groups, and they have workshops, they have seminars, they have conferences, but mainly they just have community groups where you can speak to different men who may be going through the same thing that you're going through, or maybe there's many business deals that's been made. When I was actually on the Steve Harvey show, I spoke to him. I said, Steve Harvey wants me to be on the show. I would like to use your space as a place that we can do the Skype. He was like, sure, come on in. So there's a place where a Black man owns a place where we can come together. So I don't know if it's so much as resources or if we focus on coming together as much as you guys do, because I think that's so powerful. When you have a whole stage, a whole concert of Black girls rocking on stage and music and da-da-da. I know the same thing can happen for men. I know it could be, but you know, we haven't seen it on that level yet, but it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of focusing on, you know what, let's come together. I know Black Enterprise, they have a men's summit in September where they have something similar, which is fantastic. And what they do, they have men from all over the country come and they bring the suits for our organization, and they do so much for the community. So it's reaching that point, but we just have to continually focus on making this a priority. And it would do so much for young Black boys to see Black men come together like that and looking nice and clean and talking positive to them. So I think that's very powerful.
Because women, we really come. We like, okay, there's a retreat or there's a conference. I mean, we show up to so many conferences, it don't even make no sense no more to me. I'm not going to no more conferences because I already got all this information. I done saw these people speak, but we show up. From your viewpoint, your perspective, why, when we do give something for the men, and maybe it's because we're women, but from why don't y'all show up? Like, is the rooms are not filling up? What's the problem?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean,
What do you think the problem is?
maybe is it something that men really need to hear? Is it something being offered that, you know, men can really get from it? I mean, we go to certain things. If there's a game, if there's a great game on, you know, me, my buddies, we get together, we just hang around, and we're gonna sit there, we're gonna watch that game. If there's something that's, you know, powerful like that, we will get together. So it's not that we won't come together, but is it something that we feel that we definitely can benefit from? Is it something that I'm really going to get something out of it? Is it something that I'm really going to value? I believe that if the package is right, and if it's something that can definitely benefit and prosper and business and whatever that they need, finances or health, whatever it is that's being offered, if it's something that men will definitely get something out of, I believe that they will come. While they haven't at this point, I don't know. We have to look at the product or what's being offered, but I definitely know that men will definitely come if it's something that's viable, that they believe that they can get something out of it.
You just helped me. You just helped me and a whole bunch of other people so much just now, because y'all have been taught, and Mark, tell me if I'm wrong, do not get help, do not communicate, do not show weakness. So when we are presenting the same things that we're trying to give to women, a retreat to share your feelings, a moment to just be transparent. Come on.
Right. Nah, you're right. You're right about that. And that's not appealing. That's not appealing to a man. That's not something he's gonna be like, yeah, I gotta go there and show my feelings. I gotta go there and be vulnerable in front of all these people. That's not gonna draw him to that. Now, women, they may draw from that. You know, me and my wife, we may watch, you know, I tease her a lot, different, same television, but she watched some shows that I could never see myself watching, but she's definitely into it. Popcorn, a sip of champagne, really into it. Now, there's some shows that I watch that she will never get into, but it's the same television. So it could be a conference, but the same thing that's going to draw her to it is not going to draw me. So you have to find out, what is it that men really want, and what is it that they're going to come to. And like I said, I believe that they will come, but it has to be something that they know, listen, I'm going to get something out of this. I know that something's going to benefit from it. I'm going to benefit from this. So you just got to see what it is that's being offered.
Okay, I love that. You just really like, because I'm like, you know, I'm an advocate for men. I am. And a lot of women will get mad at me because I'm like, yo, you're not gonna say that about men. Like, and I'm not just talking about black men, but for black men, because I have 3 black men that I gave birth to. Like, you're not gonna say that, because I know that there is some things that I put my sons through, some really major things. And I always say this: a mother is the first woman that disappoints her son, even if whatever level it's on. And if that's not dealt with, it causes chaos in a man's life when he goes out into the world. And I know I caused my son some things, but I'm like, how can I help them if they will not take the help? This is the thing that drives me crazy. So that was an aha moment, because we're trying to package something that's a spot where we've taught them, don't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm trying to package my son. I need you to go to therapy. I need you to talk about your feelings. Right, I need you to be vulnerable. But all the while I was raising him, when he fell, I said, get up. You're not a girl. You ain't that hurt. You're bleeding, I know, but man up. And now I'm telling him at 25, you need to be vulnerable and get some help. So there's a lot of, you know, reverse learning that we have to do. Right. How important is it for black men to build positive relationships with each other?
Oh, I think that's very powerful. When we can trust one another, and when we can build and communicate with one another. For some, growing up, you know, most of the images that I saw from my childhood, you know, it's probably different now, kids growing up, but most of the images I saw from my childhood were, you know, Santa Claus is white, Jesus Christ is white, this store is better. You know, we always have this in our mind that the white person's ice is colder than ours. I don't know. That's just something that stayed with us for a long, long time. So now when Joshua is selling something, we look at them cross-eyed. But I always have, we go into salons that are by Chinese people or whatever, and,
Right.
bulletproof and, not as clean. It may take a long time, but we'll keep going back. But yesterday I went to had to go out. I went to a delivery. I had to pick up some food. So I went to and it was black owned, and they took a little while. It was crowded, a lot of people picking up. We were all socially distanced, but it took a while. And people were complaining, this is why I don't go to black stuff, and this is why. So we quick to throw. I mean, I waited. It took a while. I'm not gonna lie, it took long, but I didn't complain to them. I saw that they wasn't like they weren't working. It was busy, so I understood. But people who will not go back to them based on that one experience. We'll deal with that from the other people, races that we go to. We continually go back. We give them another opportunity. We give them another chance. We'll keep going. But a black person who has something goes wrong. Let's admit, things go wrong sometimes.
Yes.
Something goes wrong. We won't give them that second opportunity, and we'll say, this is why I don't go to black-owned establishments. Why prices are higher, it may take a little longer, whatever. I'm willing to work and give my people opportunities, especially as black men. These were 4 or 5 black men working in this establishment. Why should I turn my back on these individuals who are working? And during this crisis, we're willing to go back to these other organs. We can't wait for the Chinese salon to open up. Chinese salon open up, we running back there. It's gonna be a line. They have to have a line outside to get back inside, but we won't go back to these black men who are working and putting in work because it took a little long. When I got my order, I said, thank you guys, I appreciate it, and I left. But you talk about supporting black businesses. I think that it's crucial for us to do that, especially now once things open back up, because it's going to be such a demand that, listen, we have to support one another. We have to come together as a group, as a people, and not that we're dismissing others, but why not give us the same opportunity? Why not give us the same chance to build a business, to do things like that?
Man, you just said, listen, you just preached a whole sermon. That's what you did. And I appreciate you, because we expect certain things from each other, but one fail and we're done. Oh, this is what, and I hear it all the time. That's why I don't mess with black people. That's why I'm like, I've been to some establishments where it wasn't a black person, where the service was slow. And I went back. And you just, a lot of people need to hear that right now. When this thing is lifted, when we are all free to live our lives again, we need to support each other as a community, as a people, and we don't. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because you're opening our eyes to a lot of stuff, because how dare I go out there and complain about staying on the line in the pandemic and say, when this pandemic is over, I'm never going back to them, because during a pandemic, these black people were slow. But that's our mindset that you said that we need to change. So it is 9:39. So we'll go to 9:45, because I got so many questions for you. Do black men elevate each other or unconsciously tear each other down?
I think more so now that we're trying to elevate each other, because we see that more of us are in having businesses and trying to run business and understand finances. So we're definitely trying to elevate. And I think my generation, who grew up in the type of situations that I grew up, as far as Brooklyn and the toughness and the neighborhoods like that, that we saw or we see the effect that it had on us or it had on others. So we want to reach back and help, so that the next generation doesn't have to go through the same things that we had to go through, that they don't have to go through a lot of the challenges. Of course, they're going to have their own challenges, but maybe they don't have to go through the same ones that we went through, where we learned not to trust each other. We learned not to communicate with each other. We learned not to believe one another. We learned not to just to be there. So maybe those issues that we can try to eliminate, they're gonna have their own challenges. Sure, everybody has their own challenges on their way to success, but some of those challenges that they don't have to go through, why should they go through them if we can share and build on that? I mean, so we have to be the leaders in that case, and we have to help them to understand, listen, these are successful black men who we just lost a pioneer, Earl Graves Sr. tremendous man, Black Enterprise. He put it together. CEO. He just passed, unfortunately. But he was an awesome pioneer for Black people. So it's his example and people like him, so that we can share that to the next generation of people that are coming up. Let them know, listen, we can't try. And he wasn't a person that just talked about it. I mean,
oh, we lost your sound. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he actually donated suits to our organization. He invited us to his home, and so he just wasn't some person that talked about it. He actually did examples of it. So I'm just you know, I want to be that type of example. And guys I know who grew up like me, we want to be that type of example for the next generation.
I love what you said. We learned not to trust each other.
Yeah, we did.
I just brothers, put your guard down. And is it because of disappointments?
It's because of partly disappointments, but sometimes I don't think we've had even a disappointment. I think it's osmosis. We just learned that, you know, growing up, for some reason, we just did not trust one another. We learned, you know, there's something wrong with that person. He's up to something. He's scheming. But a lot of it has to do with the media too. The media puts out a lot of images of negative Black people and negative stories, negative things. So if you keep hearing that over and over again, subconsciously, that's going to go into your mind, and you're going to automatically think, you know what, I don't trust. I'd rather go to these people than to that person. You know, that's why I wanted to get the stories in the book out, because I wanted to control our own narrative about, look, successful Black individuals, successful Black men who are raising families, men are starting businesses, men who have created brands, men who are doing positive things in the community. And that's basically what the book does. It changes the narrative. So instead of hearing all the negative information, we have positive things that we can talk about.
That was so good. So why was it so important for you to give back to the Black community, to these young men and these men who are trying to get jobs and those different things? Why was it important to you?
Well, as working for the state, I was one of 6 individuals who were part of the interview process, interviewing people coming in. And I was one of the only, at that time, I was one of the only Black men who were actually on that interviewing process. And so when the guys would come in and they didn't really look the part, it was hard I understood, because I came from that same probably situation they came from, but everybody else, they thinking that, you know, you're not looking the part. I don't know if you can do well, whatever. So I said, what can I do in this type of situation to help these individuals? I know why they're coming for work. They need work. They want to make money, take care of their family. And we're not giving them the opportunity because they don't have the look to get into the job, you know. And I thought about my position. When I first came for the interview at DMV, I didn't have anything to wear. I came from, you know, the house era. As far as house music, I had big shoes, polka dots, you know, had all blonde hair, had all these things going on. So I knew I had a good heart, but my clothes didn't match my heart. My image didn't match my personality. So, but I couldn't show them my heart. The first thing they would have saw was what I had on. So, pastor of mine, he actually bought me a suit, pair of shoes, and I was able to wear that to the interview. I got the job, and I was there for 27 years. So I took that seed was planted in my heart, and I took that as it grew up. I said, well, let me do something similar, because I know the situation these guys are in. So let me form this organization that suits you, where we can provide suits and ties for these individuals who may be in the same case that I was in 27 years earlier. And I've seen the result as far as helping them in schools and colleges learn how to tie ties, dress up, wear suits for the first time, get measured for the first time, learn about image, learn about professionalism. So that same seed that was planted years ago has now grown up in my heart and allowed me to be able to reach so many individuals to help them pursue their goals.
Wow, that was powerful. Oh my goodness. I didn't even think that's why you started that organization. I had to made something up in my mind, PK. But that is wonderful. So we're at the end. I hate when it's over because I still have questions, but we'll always do a part 2. Okay. We can always do a part 2, right?
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Y'all heard what he said. He said yes. Anyway, please tell everybody where they can find you, your book, and how to book you for speaking engagements. Even though they're virtual now, you're still available. So let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a great time. I shared some things I didn't know I would share, but I appreciate you. My name is PK Kersey. I'm the founder of That Suits You. You can find me at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at That Suits You, ThatSuitsYou, or at PK Kersey. You can also get our book, Suited for Success, Volume 1 or 2. You can get it at the website. But you can also hit me on social media. I'm always responding. I'm on social media a lot. And go to the website as well if you want to find out about That Suits You, the program. We go into schools, colleges, homeless shelters, and we teach about professionalism, image, and we provide professional attire to those who may need it. So once again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Where can they donate suits?
Go to the go to the website and hit contact and let us know what you have. I mean, we put a temporary suspension on everything right now, obviously, but once everything picks back up, you can always make financial donations. We're a nonprofit organization, so you can make financial donations at the website, and you could, for speaking engagements or anything, contact me through social media or the website.
Thank you so much, PK. You are my brother from another mother. Your words of wisdom have probably changed, I know has changed somebody's life. And I always say this, if it helped one person, we did our job. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to #Coffee with T. And I'm T. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Standard Time. And on Mondays, I have Man Convo Mondays for my series, Men Hurt Too. We have a powerful brother on every Monday morning to share their experience with you and let you know about some resource and that it is possible to be successful and that Black men are dope, because I love Black men. So again, thank you guys. And remember what I tell you at the end of all my broadcasts, you deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it. Peace and blessings. And remember Psalm 147:3, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. You can find me everywhere. Follow, friend, and like at Trey Kearney. My website is www.treykearney.com. And I will see y'all Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Coffee with T. And that's me. Peace. Thank you, PK.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.